Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rico'S Rants. I'm your host, Rico DeGiorgio. So, I just saw a movie. I liked it. And that I need to elaborate on shit. First off, sorry I haven't done any rants in a while. I've been doing the podcast, Pod Askew podcast, so if you're interested in just hearing me talk with my co-host and my buddy, check us out at Pod Askew. I need a beer. Unfortunately, I got Miller. Not a stab at Miller, I'm just not a big beer drinker, so all beer sort of tastes like piss to me. Not that I've had piss either. Now, before I begin, I will say that this is full of spoilers. I'm not one to just not spoil shit. So if you have not seen Joker, go see it, come back, watch this, let me know what you guys think. And I apologize for the decorum. I'm in the garage. It's late at night because I just got out of the fucking movie and then drove another half hour to come home. Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix is a fucking actor. To the point where I never really found myself truly sympathetic to the Joker until this fucking movie. To the point where it made me question other people that are going to watch this movie. And I'll get to that whole thing. Let me just talk about the movie first. It is set in the 80s. It is a Joker origin story. That much we knew. There's not a whole lot of Joker. It's really this really is the Arthur Fleck movie. Not Affleck movie. This is the Arthur Fleck movie. Joaquin Phoenix gives us a performance that is both pitiful, tragic, heartbreaking. You know where it's going, and you really just hope he doesn't do what he does. We know. We've seen the trailers, we've seen the poster. It's gonna be him in white makeup and green hair and anarchy. We know. We know this is gonna be a sad fucking film. And it is. This guy can just not catch a motherfucking break. He's a failed clown. He's a failed stand-up comedian. He lives at home with his mother, who is just obsessed with Thomas Wayne, not Bruce Wayne. And he is just always trying to put on a happy face. On top of that, he has a medical condition where he laughs at inopportune moments. And, like, it is, like, a legit real thing in real life. Like, it's like laughing Tourette's, basically. And he has to have like a little card saying, you know, sorry for this. This is a real condition. It's just like it's like a neurological disorder. You know, please excuse my laughter. And that's such a weird and interesting, fascinating way of giving the Joker his laugh. I will say that this movie is just uneasy. It's an uneasy film, especially with the way Todd Phillips, who has grown as a filmmaker. I mean, this is the guy who did the fucking Hangover movies. He did Due Date, and then like he did what was it? War Brothers, War Wolf, something. He did something with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller, and I did like it. And I could see like this is good. This is like a drop. This is like Lord of War meets The Hangover. I could this looks nothing like The Hangover. This is a fucking Scorsese film if I've ever seen, dude. Like the two biggest like inspirations are obviously Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. If you took those two films, combined them, and made the central protagonist or antagonist or fucking main character turn into the Joker, that's what this fucking movie. This is a bleak, depressing movie where society just shits on people, and then the people that are shat on just say, I've had enough. I'm done with trying to put on a fucking happy face. I'm done trying to laugh the pain away. You know, there's a line where he says, like, I always thought my life was a tragedy. Turns out it's a comedy. And that's when he smothers his fucking mother with a pillow. Like, this movie is just full of, oh God, don't do it. Oh my God, he fucking did it. Oh my God, what? You're torn because you feel for this fucking character. Not to mention Joaquin Phoenix lost 50 fucking pounds for this role. Like, he is, I wouldn't say he's like Christian Bale machinist thin, but it's pretty damn close to the point where, like, I don't even think we ever see him eat in this movie. And it shows. It shows this almost canine, like, jackal fucking coyote look to him, where he just is all sunken eyes and bony nose and long stringy hair. And now the supporting cast really kind of pales in comparison, because Joaquin is the showy actor in this. I mean, even when he's depressed and sullen and has this look of sadness as he's laughing hysterically that he can't control, everyone else just, you know, this is not their movie. This is his movie. And there are certain characters that sort of just are along for the Arthur Fleck ride. The biggest name in this, apart from Joaquin Phoenix, is Robert fucking De Niro. Because, of course, if it's inspired by the look of Scorsese, it's gotta have to have De Niro in it. And De Niro is basically playing like a what-if scenario. What if his Rupert Pumpkin character from The King of Comedy became a talk show host and was successful and wasn't homicidal? It was just, he became the Jerry Lewis role. So it is sort of an interesting twist of fate that De Niro's playing a twist on his sort of one of his lesser known roles. I mean, The King of Comedy is a very underrated, very classic Scorsese, but a lot of people forget about it. They always go Taxi Driver, they always go Goodfellas, Cape Fear, Casino, upcoming Irishman movie. So, but King of Comedy and The Joker are basically one of the same in many ways. To the point where Arthur Fleck is fascinating about, like, what if he was a guest on this Murray Franklin talk show. So he plays old taped shows of the talk show and comes out and does his little, you know, hello and nice to be here, Murray, and he's just kind of imagining, and there's a lot of imagination with this character. He imagines a whole relationship that doesn't exist. And that should have been obvious, because early in the film, as he's watching the Murray Franklin show, he imagines himself in the audience, laughing, and he yells out, "I love you, Murray," and then Robert De Niro says, "Who was that?" And they shine the lights, like, "You know, you're funny. Why don't you stand up and tell us about yourself?" Tells himself, "My name is Arthur, and I live with my mother, and she always told me to have a big smile." He's like, "Well, that's a good lesson. Why don't you come on down here and stand with me?" And yada, yada, yada. And Arthur comes down, big old grin, and he and De Niro embrace, and De Niro says, "You know, I wish I had a son just like you." And then we're back in his apartment with his mother, and we're just, it's all an imagination. So for him to, throughout the film, go through this relationship with a woman who lives down the hall from him, and then it's revealed he just goes, I mean, they kissed, she's with him at his stand-up routines, she's in the hospital with him for certain scenes. We believe this relationship, and then it's revealed it was all a fantasy, and we were suckered into it. We should have caught on, but Todd Phillips is a fucking filmmaker where he you think you know what's going to happen, and we, for the long run, we do know what's going to happen. We know it's going to end in anarchy and chaos. But some things were surprising. You know, this is inspired in part by The Killing Joke to a certain degree. Now, I'll get to that in a second, but my initial reaction of hearing about this movie when it was first announced was, are you fucking serious? You have to remember the time. Like, yeah, this was a great movie, but you have to remember the time. When this was announced, Jared Leto was the Joker. Not a very good Joker, but he'd only been in one fucking thing. And we were like, that's it? That's all we get from him? Is this one weird fucking portrayal? Never see him go up against the Batman, and he had a glorified cameo at best in Suicide Squad. And then they were like announcing like there's going to be a Suicide Squad 2, there's going to be a whole Harley movie by herself, and there's going to be a Harley and Joker movie combined. Like, we were like prepared for Leto. They announced this Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie at the exact same time, and we just didn't. How could we? What are we supposed to think, that there's gonna be two separate fucking Jokers, one in a DCEU timeline interconnected with Affleck and Aquaman and Wonder Woman, all the shit, at the same time get a young origin story, not having Leto in the role, and it's to be a gritty 80s Scorsese type movie? What are we supposed to think? So obviously my first reaction was, Warner Brothers is fucking nuts. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's true. Warner Brothers still does not know what the fuck they're doing. They're making sequels to Wonder Woman, they're making sequels to Aquaman, they're making sequels to fucking probably Shazam, and they're rebooting Batman with Robert Pattinson. They've lost Henry Cavill as Superman, they've lost Ben Affleck as Batman, and they basically are just saying, well, fuck Jared Leto. At this point, do we even include him? Like, I'm sure Jared Leto is furious right now. Rightfully so. Jared Leto is a fantastic actor. He was just given a fucking, shitty fucking interpretation. I mean, it was his interpretation, but David Ayer also added on a bunch of tattoos and shit. It was just a fucking weird Joker. Now, you can argue there's different Jokers. You could argue, like, we got the Nicholson Joker, we got the Heath Ledger Joker, we got the Mark Hamill Joker, the John DiMaggio Joker, we got the fucking Cesar Romero. They're all Jokers, and they all look like Jokers, and they all act like Jokers to a certain degree. For the record, Mark Hamill is the best Joker. Joaquin Phoenix is the fucking Joker. That is, what I just saw is the Joker movie. He is coming from a tormented upbringing. He has been shit on by society. He has been tormented and ridiculed, and everything that he's tried to do in his life has not worked. So what happens? He just falls apart and says, well, I can't really put on a smiling face anymore, so the whole world is going to be a joke to me at the expense of others. The Killing Joke, for those who don't know, is the closest thing we'll ever get to a comic book origin to the Joker. It shows that he is a failed stand-up comedian. He's timid, he's not funny, and he's got a wife who's pregnant. And in order to make ends meet, he does a crime. And the crime happens to fall on the same day that his wife dies. He can't go out of it. The mob won't let him get out of the situation. So he's got to do this crime anyways. That's the night he gets knocked into the vat of chemicals by Batman. And the whole point is, all it takes is one bad day. That whole fucking thing. Now, this Joker movie takes that and expands it. We see him trying to be a comedian. We see him struggling with life. And we feel for him. And it's weird to sympathize with a chaotic and murderous villain. I mean, we're seeing him commit murders. It's not like he doesn't one day just snap. It's a whole infection that grows like a tumor. And he slowly just says, this is it. And his mother is not even his mother. His mother basically adopted him. He was abandoned. He's an orphan. He was neglected, and the mother that was supposed to raise him neglected him even further. He was abused by his mother's boyfriends, and he developed what he thought was a neurological disorder of this laugh, but it was just basically a tic that he can't cover. He can't stop. And she's been obsessed with Thomas Wayne. She's been under the impression that because she was delusional, she worked for the Wayne Foundation, and she, in her own mind, imagined this relationship between her and Thomas Wayne, and believes that they had a relationship, and Arthur is their son. Which Arthur goes to confront Thomas after reading one of his mother's letters. Goes to confront him, and he just says, "Your mother's fucking crazy. It's not true. I've been dealing with your mother for 30 years. I've been telling her it's not true. You are not her son. You are not my son. You are an orphan." And that puts him in that's one of the final steps. His mother has a stroke. He goes home. He goes to the hospital and confronts her with what he knows. Gives her the line, like, "I thought my life was a tragedy. Turns out it's a comedy." Smothers his mother. She's dead. And then at the same time, he had gone on stage, tried to do a stand-up bit. And we are given the impression that it's successful, even though in the beginning he's laughing uncontrollably out of nervousness and his condition, which he doesn't fucking have. But then the implication is that he's given a couple jokes and that he's, his smile, and the audience likes it. It's all a fantasy. He bombed tremendously. And someone filmed it and sent it to the Murray Franklin show. Murray Franklin, Robert De Niro, is putting this on the air and saying, "Look at this fucking joker." Well, not fucking, because like we're gonna do a clean act here, okay? Okay. Like, so he's watching it, realizes that the whole world is fucking laughing at him. His mother's lied to him. He is a nobody. So if he's not Arthur Fleck, who the fuck is he? He is this Joker. So he becomes the Joker. He puts on the grease paint. He dances a lot in this fucking movie. He gets to the interview show. He tells Robert De Niro, he's like, "When you introduce me, can you introduce me as Joker?" He's like, "Okay." At the same time, he murdered 3 fucking rich, Wall Street boys in Gotham on the subway because they were fucking with him. They beat the shit out of him, and he shoots them out of self-defense. And then murder, because he chases after another one and shoots him and kills him. And so the word gets out that there was this clown that killed these Wall Street guys, and that's a symbol. We're gonna be these clowns, and Thomas Wayne has been running for mayor, and he called us all clowns. We're just gonna be clowns. And all these people wearing clown masks. And Joker, Arthur Fleck, is sort of relishing it, and he's like, "Good, fuck all of you." So when he comes on stage, the intent is he's going to tell a joke. Knock, knock. He's going to shoot himself. He comes out in the makeup, in the suit, and I gotta say, I don't like the suit. I don't like the colors. Yes, it is Joker-esque colors. Joker wears vibrant colors, but Joker wears green and purple, or black. I mean, it's this red, yellow, orange fucking thing just looks weird to me. It's not really it is the Joker character, and you can even argue like this is a proto-Joker. But I don't really dig the costume personally. It's one of the few things about the film that I'm like, he looks kind of like it looks like instead of Heath Ledger's Joker, it was like, what if the Joker was a big Ronald McDonald fan in his own way. It looks weird. It's like copy someone else's homework, but change it enough so it looks different enough so you don't, you know what I'm saying? So, goes on stage, and for the first time that we've seen this entire film, he has confidence. He's not really laughing hysterically. He kind of is theatrical, and he has nothing to lose, so he has no fear. And in his own mind, he's going to kill himself. And then he goes on this little rant, and he admits to killing the Wall Street guys on air. Murray's like, how, you're admitting this? And so how could you get away with this? Yada, yada, yada. You're an awful person. He's like, you're an awful person. You made fun of me. You are just as awful. And he's like, would you like to hear another joke? He's like, no, I don't think I would. He's like, what do you get when you, I'm going to fuck up the line. What do you get when you cross a person who's been beaten down and society rejects them and blah, 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 blah. And then you get what's coming to you, worthless fucking piece of shit, and then shoots De Niro in the face on the air. And dances and laughs and shoots him again, and he gets arrested. And he's in the cop car, and at this point, all the other Gotham's clowns have started an uprising, and they're in full support of him. They're just throwing shit and starting mobs and rioting everywhere, and they crash into his car, pull him out of the wreckage, and he's almost laying on this cop car like fucking Jesus, like he is their savior. He gets up, realizes what's going on, he realizes they love him, he stands on the hood of a car, and his face is all bloody, and the makeup's starting to wear off, so he just takes his blood and makes it into another rictus, like red, bloody grin, and everyone is, you know, laughing and cheering him on. At the same time, while this chaos is going on the streets of Gotham, this is the biggest twist. Thomas Wayne, Martha, and Bruce are walking out of the movie. They go down Crime Alley. A clown mask wearing thug runs up to them and says, "This is what you get, you son of a bitch, you deserve this." Shoots Thomas, shoots Martha, pulls the pearls go everywhere, leaves Bruce alone. Now the Joker, it's not going as far as what Batman 89 did, where the Joker did kill his parents when he was, you know, young Jack Napier, but he did indirectly kill Thomas and Martha, and basically indirectly created Batman. It is such a bizarre notion to imagine that the Joker created Batman as opposed to Batman creating the Joker. It is such a bizarre fucking notion to me. With the exception of the 89 Batman, but even then that was controversial. I never really particularly got into the idea of young Jack Napier being the guy who killed Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne. You can all, I mean, even Batman has said, like, every villain he's ever fought, he's always imagined that they killed his parents as a form of justice and retribution and reasoning to punching someone in the face. Like, you killed my parents, even if they fucking didn't. This motherfucker indirectly did. It's bizarre to me. And then it ends, him in Arkham, talking to his new shrink, and he's chuckling to himself, and she says, "What's funny?" He's like, "Oh, I just thought of a joke." She's like, "Well, tell it to me. I like it. I like a good joke. Tell me the joke." And he's thinking, he now obviously knows, because word has gotten to him, that Thomas and Martha are dead, and Bruce is an orphan just like he was. And he said, "You wouldn't get it." And then the next scene shows him walking out to the hallway in sort of semi-slow motion, and as he's walking across the white ceramic tile in the hospital, he's leaving bloody footprints, and it shows him kind of dancing and going down the hallway, and then going one direction, and then all of a sudden running in the other direction, kind of like Scooby-Doo, going back and forth, and like the orderlies are chasing after him, and that's how it ends. And it ends, there's a lot of Frank Sinatra in this fucking movie. Like, to the point where, I am a massive Sinatra fan, you all know this. I'm almost done.
I just need to grab my iPad.
Oh, come in. I was just surprised by how much there was in this movie. To the point where I'm like, I'm gonna kind of question, like, Sinatra in Sinatra's music in movies now? Is that going to be a thing? Is that going to be, you know, is that going to be the opposite? Or, you know, put on, I mean, Smile by Charlie Chaplin makes sense. And then Send in the Clowns by Sinatra sort of sung at him in aggression. I'm like, that's kind of a nice, interesting way of doing it. And then the music That's Life is the theme of the Murray Franklin show, and it's just and then he's just, as he's putting on the fucking makeup for the first time, it's That's Life. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is it a go out and fucking see it? Yeah, it is. I will state this. Before I went into this, I told my brother, and I've told other people, this is one of the few times I've been nervous about going to a movie. And the reason why is because there is a lot of controversy about this film. And rightfully fucking so. There are a lot of people that could and probably will relate to this film. The truth is that society does ignore certain people. Or, despite them not being ignored, they feel rejected. They feel unwanted. They feel unloved. I'm not saying this movie is going to start violence. There's been violence before movies. And movies sometimes have started violence, and people are just violent and crazy without movies. There were murders inspired by Chucky the Doll back in the 80s, for Christ's sake. However, we do have to remember that there was a shooting in Colorado for The Dark Knight Rises. And the guy who did it called himself the Joker. That stuck to me when this movie was announced. We are in a society right now where there are so many shootings that it's just, unfortunately, the norm. And to have a movie with a protagonist that you sympathize with and is slowly falling apart and you feel for him does not excuse going out and killing people, as far as I'm concerned. So before I went into this movie, I was nervous. I was kind of like, this could be bad. I was going to a late showing. I was going also to a bad part of town. You know, I was nervous. I'm fine, obviously. But the fear of going into this, and that sort of set the tone for me personally, was I don't know what's going to fucking happen with this movie, and I have no idea what's going to happen, you know, walking out of this movie. It doesn't glorify violence, but it does make you sympathetic to the violent people. Which in of itself is, you know, sucks. On that note, go see it.